think you know the Great Pyramid of Giza, right? It's so famous, it feels like we know its whole story. But what if the official version is just the beginning? Today, we're going to peel back the layers of sand and stone to get at the mysteries that still drive people crazy about this ancient wonder. Let's dive in. What if the story we've all been told is only a tiny piece of the puzzle? I mean, the Great Pyramid is the last standing wonder of the ancient world, but our understanding of why it was even built is, well, it's shaky at best. The standard explanation just doesn't quite add up, and it leaves some huge, gaping questions.
Okay, just try to wrap your head around this. Inside the king's chamber, the granite beams that make up the ceiling, they weigh up to 70 tons each. That's like lifting a whole fleet of cars hundreds of feet into the air and placing them with insane precision. How on earth did a civilization from thousands of years ago pull that off?
And it's not just about the weight, it's the craftsmanship. The joints between these monster blocks are often less than a millimeter wide. I mean, you literally can't even slip a piece of paper between them. And that kind of accuracy is all over the pyramid. Even with all our modern tech, builders today would have a really hard time replicating that. But here it is. This is the single biggest point, the one that kind of throws a wrench into the whole official story. Researcher Christopher Dunn points this out, and it's a fact. Despite what we're told, not one single untouched original burial has ever been found in any Egyptian pyramid. That fact alone makes you have to ask, what were they really for? All right, so let's tackle that official story, the one we all learned in school. The consensus view says the Great Pyramid was built as a tomb for the pharaoh Khufu. Simple enough, right? But when you start looking at the actual evidence on the ground, the story gets a whole lot more complicated. And that's the core of the problem, really. It's presented as fact in every textbook, but it struggles to explain the sheer scale and weirdly specific design of the pyramid. Think about it. A simple burial just needs a hole in the ground. This was something else entirely. So picture this. It's the 9th century. A team led by Caliph Mahmoud finally forces their way inside, probably expecting to find mountains of treasure. And what do they find? Nothing. Zip. No mummy, no gold, no grave goods, just an empty, broken granite box. If this was supposed to be a pharaoh's eternal resting place, where's all the stuff? It's probably the biggest hole in the official story. Because the tomb theory has all these holes, it's opened the door for some other, way more fascinating ideas. One of the most famous is the Orion Correlation Theory, which suggests the pyramids weren't just pointing to the stars, they were a map of the stars, right here on Earth.
This idea, put forward by researcher Robert Bauval, is pretty mind-blowing. It argues that the layout of the 3 Giza pyramids was intentionally designed to perfectly mirror the 3 stars in Orion's belt. The idea is that the Egyptians were creating a literal heaven on Earth, linking their most important buildings to the stars, the celestial home of their god Osiris, who they connected to the Orion constellation.
It's a beautiful, poetic idea, for sure, but it's not that simple. The theory has come under some heavy fire from academics. Researchers like John A.R. Lagan have dug into the details and found some pretty big problems that challenge this idea of a perfect star map. Okay, so let's break down the issues. First, the alignment on the ground and the alignment in the sky, they don't quite match. They're off by a pretty significant angle. Second, the idea that the size of the pyramids matches the brightness of the stars doesn't really hold up. And maybe the biggest problem of all? To make the map work, you have to flip the constellation upside down. The 3rd pyramid is offset to the south, but the star it's supposed to represent is offset to the north. So if it's not a tomb, and probably not a star map, then what else could it possibly be? Well, this next idea is way more radical. It suggests the Great Pyramid wasn't a monument at all. It was a machine, a kind of ancient power plant. This theory was championed by an engineer named Christopher Dunn, and it's all based on a scientific principle called harmonic resonance. The basic idea is that the pyramid was designed to be a massive acoustical device, engineered with incredible precision to vibrate in tune with the natural, subtle frequencies of the Earth itself, like a giant tuning fork. So Dunn basically reverse-engineered the whole thing. Here's how he thinks it might have worked. First, the pyramid's shape and materials capture the Earth's natural vibrations. Second, those vibrations get amplified as they move through the inner chambers, which were tuned like musical instruments. Third, he suggests the queen's chamber was used for a chemical reaction to create hydrogen gas. And finally, that gas would flow to the king's chamber, where all that sonic energy was converted into something usable, like microwave radiation.
Now, before you dismiss this as science fiction, get this. This isn't just a wild guess. Modern acoustic testing has confirmed that the king's chamber is an incredibly resonant space. It's built from granite, full of quartz crystals, and its exact dimensions create a very specific resonant frequency. It strongly suggests that sound and vibration were a huge part of its design, whatever that design was for.
So even with all these amazing theories, we're still left with some deep, profound questions. No single explanation, not the mainstream one, not the alternatives, can account for all the strange and specific features of the pyramid. The enigma just continues. For example, why build the huge, complex grand gallery if it was just a hallway? What was the point of the so-called air shafts in the queen's chamber if they were sealed shut from the very beginning? What kind of technology could cut and place 70-ton blocks with near-perfect precision? And of course, the big one. After all that unbelievable effort, why was the sarcophagus at the heart of it all found completely empty? These are the questions that keep people up at night.
So, what's the real takeaway here? The Great Pyramid is still one of history's greatest puzzles. Each theory gives us a compelling piece of the picture, but none of them quite completes it. So, what was it? A tomb for a king, a map of the heavens, or a sophisticated ancient machine? What do you think? Let us know your theory in the comments. The only thing we know for sure is that we have so much more to learn. Thanks for watching.